The air hung heavy, thick with the smell of approaching rain. Distant thunder rumbled like the belly of a hungry beast. Our village, nestled amongst the rolling hills and baobab trees, had seen countless storms, but this one felt different. This one carried the scent of dread. Word spread like wildfire through the dusty paths, from straw-roofed hut to hut. A child had been born, a boy. But this was no ordinary child. This child, they said, was cursed. I remember that day. The sky, usually a brilliant blue, turned a sickly gray. The wind howled through the trees, stripping leaves from branches and sending them swirling through the air like lost souls. Even the animals seemed to sense the approaching darkness, seeking shelter, their cries echoing our own unspoken fears. My heart, heavy with a premonition I couldn't quite place, pounded against my ribs. Little did I know this marked the beginning of a cycle of sorrow that would stain our village for generations.
Before we continue, do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Also, like our video, share it so others can also see it. Do not forget to keep the notifications button on so you can see it anytime we drop a new video. Also, share your opinions in the comments box. Let us continue.
To come. The child, named Ekon, was different from the moment he arrived. His cries weren't the usual wails of a newborn, but a low, guttural moan that sent shivers down the spines of all who heard it. His eyes, instead of reflecting the innocence of youth, burned with an unnatural intensity. They were like embers in the dying light of the fire, flickering with an ancient wisdom that seemed to belong to a soul much older. His parents, though filled with a love that only a parent can possess, couldn't shake the feeling of unease that clung to their son like a shroud. Ekon grew, but not like other children. He remained small, frail, his skin bearing a sickly pallor. He rarely smiled. And those eyes, those unsettling eyes, followed your every move, seeming to see into the deepest recesses of your soul. The villagers, once eager to shower the child with love and blessings, began to avoid him. Their whispers followed him like shadows. "Cursed child," they muttered under their breath, "he's a harbinger of misfortune." Frightened and desperate, Ekon's parents sought the counsel of the Babalawos, the village elders, wise in the ways of the spirits and the mysteries of life and death. They had heard tales of the Babalawos' profound knowledge and their ability to communicate with the unseen forces that governed their world. The journey to the elders was not just a physical one but a spiritual pilgrimage, a plea for intervention from the ancient ones. They arrived at the sacred grove, a place where ancient trees twisted towards the heavens, their gnarled branches adorned with colorful fabrics, offerings to the orishas. The grove was a sanctuary, a place where the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds was thin. Here, the air was thick with the scent of incense and the whispers of prayers carried on the wind. It was a place of power where the spirits were said to walk among the living. The Babalawos, their faces etched with years of wisdom and worry, cast kola nuts and consulted the IFA oracle. Each movement was deliberate, each gesture steeped in tradition. The kola nuts, sacred tools of divination, were cast with reverence, their patterns read with practiced eyes. The IFA oracle, a conduit to the divine, was consulted with solemnity, its messages interpreted with care. The air crackled with tension as they chanted in low voices, invoking the spirits, seeking answers. The chants, ancient and powerful, resonated through the grove, a call to the unseen forces that governed their fate. The Babalawos' voices, deep and resonant, wove a tapestry of sound that seemed to vibrate with the very essence of the earth. It was a ritual of immense gravity, a plea for guidance from the ancient ones. Finally, one by one they fell silent, their faces grave. The silence was heavy, laden with the weight of the knowledge they had received. The Babalawos, bearers of the village's spiritual wisdom, had seen the threads of fate and the dark shadow that loomed over Ekon's life. Their expressions, etched with sorrow and resignation, spoke volumes. The child, the eldest Babalawo, spoke, his voice heavy with sorrow. He is bound to a cycle of death and rebirth. His words, though spoken softly, carried the weight of 1,000 lifetimes. The Babalawo's eyes, filled with a deep, ancient sadness, met those of Ekon's parents, conveying the gravity of the curse that bound their son. A curse, ancient and powerful, holds him captive. This curse, woven into the very fabric of his being, was a dark legacy from a time long forgotten. It was a binding force, an unbreakable chain that tied Ekon's soul to a relentless cycle of suffering. The Babalawos spoke of the curse's origins, a tale of betrayal and vengeance that had echoed through the ages, leaving a trail of sorrow in its wake. He is destined to die young, only to be reborn and repeat the cycle, bringing endless grief to those he touches. Each rebirth, a fleeting moment of hope, was inevitably followed by the crushing despair of loss. Econ's life, a series of brief, tragic chapters, was a testament to the curse's unyielding grip. His parents, caught in this cycle, were condemned to a perpetual state of mourning, their hearts breaking anew with each loss. The words hit Econ's parents like a physical blow. The reality of their son's fate, spoken aloud, was a devastating confirmation of their deepest fears. Their faces, etched with shock and sorrow, mirrored the anguish that tore through their hearts. The Babalawos' revelation was a cruel twist of fate, a burden too heavy to bear. Their worst fears had been confirmed. The hope they had clung to, fragile and fleeting, was shattered by the Babalawos' words. The weight of the curse, now fully understood, pressed down on them with an unbearable force. They were left to grapple with the harsh reality of their son's doomed existence, a future filled with endless cycles of grief and loss. They were doomed to watch their child die, only to see him return, again and again, trapped in a relentless cycle of suffering. The knowledge of this unending torment was a heavy burden, a shadow that would haunt them for the rest of their days. Econ's parents, bound by love and sorrow, faced a future of perpetual heartache, their lives forever intertwined with the tragic fate of their son. Section 4. The Curse Takes Hold. Years passed, each one a painful reminder of the prophecy hanging over Econ's head. The villagers whispered about the curse, their eyes filled with a mix of pity and fear whenever they saw him. Econ, though young, could feel the weight of their stares, the burden of their expectations. He often wondered why he had been chosen, why the spirits had marked him for such a fate. He remained frail, a shadow of a child, his eyes burning ever brighter with each passing day. Those eyes, deep and intense, seemed to hold the secrets of the universe, a silent testament to the strength that lay within him. Despite his physical weakness, there was a fire in Econ, a determination that refused to be extinguished. But beneath the curse, a gentle soul resided. Econ's heart was pure, untouched by the darkness that sought to claim him. He had a kindness that was rare, a compassion that extended to all living things. It was this gentle nature that endeared him to the animals of the savannah, who seemed to sense the goodness within him. Econ possessed a wisdom beyond his years, a quiet understanding of the world that drew people to him, despite their fear. He would often sit with the elders, listening to their stories and sharing his own insights. His words, though few, were always profound, leaving those who heard them in awe of his depth and maturity. He spent his days wandering the savannah, befriending the animals, whispering to the wind. The vast expanse of the grasslands was his sanctuary, a place where he could escape the whispers and the stares. Here, among the wild creatures and the rustling grasses, he found a sense of peace and belonging. The creatures of the wild seemed drawn to his gentle nature, sensing the pureness of his soul. Birds would perch on his shoulders, and even the most skittish of animals would approach him without fear. It was as if they knew that Econ, despite his frailty, was a protector, a guardian of the natural world. He would sit for hours beneath the shade of the baobab tree, listening to the stories whispered by the wind, his laughter echoing through the grasslands, a brief flicker of light in the encroaching darkness. The baobab tree, ancient and wise, seemed to share its secrets with him, filling his heart with hope and resilience. And then, just as the Babalawos had foretold, on the eve of his 10th birthday, Econ fell ill. The illness came suddenly, like a storm, leaving him weak and bedridden. The villagers watched with bated breath, their hearts heavy with the knowledge that the prophecy was coming to pass. A fever, fierce and unrelenting, ravaged his small body. His skin burned with the heat of 1,000 suns, and his breaths came in ragged gasps. The once vibrant boy was now a mere shadow, his strength sapped by the relentless illness. His parents, their hearts breaking with each labored breath he took, kept vigil by his side, praying for a miracle that they knew deep down would never come. They held his hands, whispered words of comfort, and tried to soothe his pain, but the curse was too strong, its grip too tight. As the days turned into nights, they could only watch helplessly as their beloved son slipped further away, the prophecy fulfilling itself with each passing moment. Section 5. A mother's anguish, a father's despair. The night Ekon died, the moon hid its face behind a veil of clouds, as if ashamed to witness the sorrow that engulfed our village. The sky, usually a canvas of twinkling stars, was now a somber blanket of darkness, reflecting the heavy hearts of the villagers below. It was as if the heavens themselves were mourning the loss of a young soul, taken too soon from this world. His mother's cries, raw and primal, echoed through the night, a testament to the agonizing pain of a mother losing her child. Her wails were not just sounds, they were the embodiment of a broken heart, a soul shattered by the cruel hands of fate. Each sob was a plea to the universe, a desperate cry for the return of her beloved son. His father, his strong shoulders slumped with grief, sat beside his wife, tears tracing silent paths down his weathered cheeks. This was a man who had faced many hardships, yet nothing had prepared him for the loss of his child. His silence spoke volumes, a quiet testament to the depth of his sorrow. He held his wife's hand, their fingers intertwined in a grip that spoke of shared pain and mutual support. We mourned with them, our hearts heavy with their sorrow. The entire village had come together, united in grief. We were not just neighbors, we were a family, bound by the shared experiences of life and loss. Each tear shed was a collective expression of our communal heartache. We shared their grief, for we knew that Ekon's death was not an ending, but merely the beginning of a cycle that would continue to haunt us all. His passing was a stark reminder of the fragility of life, a cruel illustration of the unpredictable nature of our existence. It was a wound that would leave a permanent scar on the fabric of our community. The funeral pyre burned throughout the night, the flames reaching towards the heavens as if trying to touch the face of the divine, pleading for understanding, for mercy. The fire crackled and roared, its heat a stark contrast to the cold emptiness left by Ekon's absence. It was a ritual as old as time, a way for us to honor the departed and seek solace in the belief that their spirit would find peace. The smoke, thick and acrid, stung our eyes, mirroring the tears that streamed down our faces. It was as if the very air we breathed was infused with our collective grief, a tangible reminder of the loss we had suffered. The scent of burning wood and sandalwood filled the night, mingling with the salty tang of our tears. As the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness, a hush fell over the village. The night had been long and filled with sorrow, but the arrival of dawn brought with it a sense of quiet reflection. The light of the new day was a gentle reminder that life, despite its hardships, continues. It was a moment of stillness, a brief respite from the overwhelming grief that had consumed us. The pyre had burned down to embers, leaving behind only ashes and the lingering scent of sandalwood and sorrow. The once fierce flames were now reduced to a smoldering memory, much like the life of young Ekon. The ashes were a stark reminder of the finality of death, yet they also symbolize the cycle of life, death, and rebirth that we all are a part of. And in the arms of a grieving mother, a new life began. This new life was a beacon of hope amidst the darkness, a reminder that even in the depths of despair there is always the possibility of renewal. The baby, innocent and unaware of the sorrow around it, represented the future, a future that held the promise of healing and new beginnings. The cycle of life continued, and with it the enduring strength of the human spirit.